Hey guys, I'm at the ancient Bakong Temple in Cambodia, and you can see that this is a step pyramid, but they say here's an ancient structure with a lot of intriguing details. We're going to go and see what we can find in this structure, which is almost completely dilapidated. Come on. Now you can see right away that this is guarded by two lion-like creatures. They don't look like lions. They actually look a little bit different than the lions. These mythical animals are called Yalis in India. And you can see these two figures below these Yalis, right? You can see this figure holding a giant weapon here. And you can see this figure holding a giant weapon here. So this shrine is guarded by two Yalis on either side. And below that, you can see two Dvarapalas, meaning doorkeepers, holding giant weapons. But there's more carving here. Here you can see this nice, tiny dancing figure. Here's a dancing figure. But let's go up and see what we can see inside the temple, okay? Oh, this is the surprise, okay? Because we expect to go inside the temple, but what we actually find is a solid stone door. It looks like a door. It has the door frames, and you can even see the partition in the middle, but it's made of solid stone blocks, right? Until 600 years ago, the main chambers in all temples had these blind doors on three sides. But in new temples, this tradition is completely forgotten. They just build walls on three sides and leave an entrance on one side. But during ancient times, especially in Cambodia, you will always see three blind doors on three sides. But there would be a fourth door. So, oh, right here. Yes. Here is the fourth door. You see, this one is open. It's completely gone, guys. The ceiling is completely gone. But you can see the blind doors on three sides. Now, if you see over there, you can see the main structure of the Bakong Pyramid. The Bakong Pyramid is a very mysterious structure. Its origins are shrouded in mystery. Some say it is a Buddhist temple, and some say it is a Hindu temple. But we are only concerned about this structure right now. And what do you think? Is this a Buddhist temple or a Hindu temple? Let's examine this further by looking at this lintel right there. Now, what do you see? At first look, it seems like a bunch of random figures and all these floral patterns. But can you identify that deity sitting in the center? And what is he sitting on? Is that Lord Shiva? Is that Lord Buddha? No, it is the Hindu god Vishnu. How do we know that? How do we know it is Vishnu and not Buddha or Shiva? Because Vishnu is sitting on top of a bird. And this bird-like figure is called Garuda. It's half bird, half human. And you can see Garuda at the bottom with the beak and also its wings. And Lord Vishnu is sitting on top of him. And now you can also see Lord Vishnu holding a conch in this hand and a chakra in this hand. This is crystal clear that it is, in fact, Lord Vishnu. But if you still have any doubts about this, you can look at that carving at the very top. You can see Lord Vishnu in this relaxing position, right? But this is confusing because sometimes you can also see Lord Buddha in this position. But how do we know it's Vishnu? Because look at his leg. There is a woman massaging his leg. This is Lord Vishnu's wife, Lakshmi, massaging the leg of Lord Vishnu. Now, What does all this evidence indicate? This indicates that this is a Hindu shrine we are looking at. But what is the main deity inside? Let's go inside and take a look. Look at this, guys. You can see the candles and the incense sticks. Shows that this shrine is still being worshipped. I'm going to remove my shoes. But let's go inside and see what's the main deity inside. Take a look. That is huge. That is a giant Yoni. You see that size. And what is it? This is definitely a Yoni. Once upon a time, there was a lingam in the middle. Now, at the side, you can see the spout. You see? You see the spout here? This is for the water to be released on this side. Now, you can easily see that this is my size, and this is the size of the Yoni, which means that it should be about 5 feet tall. Now, let me just check and see how tall it is. Now, I'm just going to go and measure this and show you how tall it is. This is almost exactly 5 feet. Oh, this is actually exactly 5 feet long. So you can see that it's 60 inches or 5 feet tall. It's very interesting, folks. This is the Yoni, or the base of the lingam, and you can see it's not even about, it's exactly 5 feet tall. I'm going to measure the length of this. This is 7 feet 4 inches long. This is 7 feet 4 inches long. So you can see that. That's about 88 inches. But if you include the Yoni, it's about 8.5. So the base is about 7 feet 4 inches long, and this one comes to 8 feet 6 inches if you include the spout as well. So that's how long it is. But I want to see, now once upon a time, we know that a giant lingam would have stood inside. Now it's completely gone. We don't see any traces of it. Sometimes we'll see an intact lingam. Sometimes it'll be completely destroyed, but you can still see the remnants. But this one, I wouldn't say it's destroyed. It has been moved somewhere. I want to try to recreate this lingam using AI. But to do that, I want to measure the hole inside to see how deep that hole is, because the lingam would be 3 times the size of the hole. For example, if it's 2 feet deep, the lingam would be 6 feet tall. So to understand the actual size of the lingam, I want to measure the hole inside. Let me see if I can do that. I'm going to use this tape to measure the hole inside. It would be easier to climb on top of the Yoni, but I don't want to disrespect the ancient structure and respect the energy. So I'm going to try to do it like this. Let me see if I can. So if you see here, wow, that's 5 feet 10 inches, guys. I can't actually see the other side, but if you see here, wow, that is 6 feet. That's interesting. The hole is actually longer than the side. Now, if you see this, look at this. That is 6 feet. That means the hole is deeper than the height of this, because this height is just 5 feet, right? But the hole is actually 6 feet. So the lingam goes a little bit deeper inside than the height of the Yoni, okay? Now, what does this mean? This is shocking to me because I expected it to have only just maybe 2 or 3 feet of depth. But if this hole is 6 feet long, that means the lingam was 18 feet. Now, how do we know this, right? Because remember, I told you the lingas have 3 parts. The Shiva part, or Shiva-bhaga, and the Vishnu part in the middle, or Vishnu-bhaga, and the Brahma part at the bottom, known as the Brahma-bhaga, usually only the Brahma-bhaga is not visible. The rest of the parts are visible, which means the Brahma-bhaga itself would be 6 feet deep. So we would have another 6 feet long Vishnu-bhaga and another 6 feet long Shiva-bhaga, which means that the entire lingam would have stood 18 feet tall. Now, that means it's one of the largest lingams ever, okay? Now, it's very, very interesting to me that we are already seeing this giant yoni here is about 7 or 8 feet long. It's 5 feet tall. But we would have had a giant lingam that's 18 feet tall in the sub-shrine of the Bakong Temple in Cambodia, okay? Very interesting to know that we had such giant lingams in Cambodia. Remember how I told you people used to worship that lingam on Shivratri? That lingam was only 14 feet tall. And this lingam is 4 feet longer than that lingam, which would make this one of the largest, if not the largest lingam in Cambodia. So you can imagine how they would have constructed such a giant lingam of 18 feet height and placed it just on a shrine at the ground floor, which makes me wonder what they would have placed on top of the Bakong pyramid, okay? This makes me wonder. And also the technology they have used is, oh, look at this. Come here, I want you to take a look at this, guys. It's not just a hole that goes vertically down. Look at that. Look at that hole, that square hole horizontally. What would be the purpose of that hole? Now, is that for draining the water? Because there is a water drain above it. You see that? That is the water spout, right? But what is the purpose of this rectangular slot inside the hole? What do you think? Now, this is very, very interesting, guys. Look at this. I want to show you this. This one, you see that slot? There's one rectangular slot here. There's one rectangular slot here. Actually, there are 3 smaller rectangular slots on this side and 3 small rectangular slots on this side. And there's one giant rectangular hole inside that pit, right? Now, that male part is firmly fixed there, and there are 6 different parts fit in these slots, making it impossible to remove the lingam. But still, after so many centuries, that lingam is gone. How? Because they completely destroyed this part. They completely broke this part and removed the lingam. This is the only way to remove the lingam. Because without breaking this top part, you see, this is a different part. This is not part of this larger structure. This part is assembled with the lingam, right? So to remove the lingam, they would have completely destroyed everything. This is why you see that these are all broken, and they managed to uproot the lingam completely and move it somewhere, okay? Of course, creating something is way more difficult than destroying it, but you can see the idea behind constructing such a giant lingam, right? They constructed an 18 feet tall lingam, but they made sure they put in the tongue and groove design to make it immovable. Now, today we use metals, we use plastic to create all these complex Lego block-like objects, making them interlock with one another. But you can see how ancient builders played with stones to create the same Lego block technology. This is the beauty of ancient advanced technology. And you can see that evidence of this technology everywhere. Look at this here. These 2 stone blocks, you can see the H-shaped slots here. Why, right? So you can see these 2 stone blocks like this, giant stone blocks. And you can see the H-shaped joint here, but it's empty. Why do you see them? Perhaps we'll find it everywhere. Oh, right here. Yes. So you can see another one right here, right? These two giant stone blocks, but there's a H-shaped slot carved between them, right? Why? Because ancient builders would melt metals and pour it inside these slots, and these metals would harden, work like a stapler, connecting two different parts, right? So they would just act as a bridge between these two parts. Isn't it fascinating that we're able to find so much evidence of ancient technology in this Bakong Temple at Cambodia? And you can see evidence of, this stone binding technology. You can find the remnants of a very large lingam that was 18 feet tall. You can see evidences of tongue and groove technology and see how they made the lingam immovable. You can also see carvings on the lintels and even see blind doors, all at a shrine at the bottom of the Bakong pyramid. Imagine what we're going to find at the top of the Bakong pyramid in Cambodia. But that's another video, but I'm going to post that very soon. Bye.